Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls' and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why?
Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of the Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did. Good evening and welcome to The Right Side on our October 14th Happy Charlie Kirk Day episode. And our special guest tonight is Monica Yatuma, who is a Secretary of State candidate. So welcome, Monica, and thanks for making the trip to red Livingston County.
Hi, Deb. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, good. Well, let's get right into the questions here, and then we've got just to remind everybody, we got our dinner tomorrow, so that has consumed my waking moments for the last few days, so don't forget that. And the next thing is, second on the show tonight will be the big discussion on the data center. So let's start with Monica. Tell us about yourself. Give us like your personal background, like your personal information, your background.
Well, I'm not too far from you guys. I'm a delegate in Oakland County.
Okay.
And I sit on the executive committee. And last year I was a national delegate to the RNC for Trump. So I am married to my wonderful husband, Randy. We have 3 kids together. And I was born and raised in Southeast Michigan. I'm first generation Iraqi American. My parents came here from Iraq. And I like to add, because I feel like I have to now, that they came here legally. Yeah. So, yeah, and, I went to Oakland University. Everything I've done is pretty local. And then from there, I left college. I worked for my dad actually in his oil change. He owns oil changes. So I grew up changing oil on cars and working on cars. And then at 26 years old, I started my own company. It's a medical waste management company. And I get a lot of people that always ask, like, well, how did you get into a business like that? Well, I was a device rep for some years until I woke up one morning. I was top sales rep in the country. And I looked at my husband one day and I said, I can do this myself. So he said, let's do it. So I left and I started my own company.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how long did you do that?
So I've been doing that now for going on 15 years.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, good.
Yep. And we operate statewide.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So lead that into your, I mean, that's your professional background there, but give us your professional background as it pertains to elections, or, have you ever run for office before, and whatever your involvement is politically.
So I have always been somebody that's more in the background. So during COVID, I was the parent that led the charge and filed the mask mandate lawsuit in Oakland County.
Okay.
It was successful. And then what a lot of people don't know is that subsequently from there, the rest of the counties followed. Right.
Okay.
So that's really where I got my start. And what really got me politically charged was 2020. When I watched what happened in Detroit, when I watched what happened with the election, and I thought, okay, I really got to ramp this up and get involved, because we can't have this again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we went from that to COVID. I filed the mask mandate lawsuit. And then from there, as you know, in 22, the Democrats took a trifecta. So I thought I was going to be done after all this parental rights stuff and this lawsuit. Then I thought, oh my gosh, our work is not done, because it was a blue sweep in 22. So we launched, using the same attorneys from the lawsuit, we launched Great Education Initiative, which was a 501c3. We launched it specifically because I saw a huge gap within the Republican Party. Nobody was helping parents in these school board races. And as I was learning it was because there's no money in school board races. So the consultants don't want to get involved, and there's just not much there. So I looked at my buddy Nate, who helped me with the mask mandate lawsuit. We partnered together. We knew this was the direction we needed to go. So we started Great Education Initiative to help these parents, but really to take back local control of kids' education, because we realized during COVID that our rights were completely trampled on. But what we really realized is how important local politics are. We were always so laser focused on federal, but local controls our life.
Oh my God, that's been my mantra for years.
Yeah. So anyway, so we started the 501c3. It went really well. Had our hands in about 75 school board races that year. And when everything went blue, we actually won the majority of our races. So GEI just grew from there. We started doing town halls, educating parents on their rights. And that was really my main focus for a while, until we got to the college campuses and I realized they were doing this thing called the All in Democracy Challenge. And it's basically, it's an NGO called Civic Nation. And they get on these college campuses, and they call it voter education, right? But really what they're doing is they're hijacking data for partisan purposes, and they're ballot harvesting, right? So, and they're brainwashing these kids. And so we realized, okay, that's a huge violation of FERPA. And so we've got a few lawsuits under our belt at GEI. They're all education lawsuits. We have a Title IX lawsuit, some other ones. But now we got involved in this All in Democracy Challenge, right? And so from there, started going down that rabbit hole. We have a fantastic attorney. His name is Eric Cardall. He's involved in a number of election integrity lawsuits, and that's kind of where we had been. Now, I launched the sister organization to GEI, which is Great Education Action. It was it's a 501c4.
Okay.
We launched it to help in the 24 election. And we did that to do voter education, voter registration, and we did it to hire door knockers and phone bankers all across the state. And we were super successful. So I'm Middle Eastern, which I mentioned earlier, Chaldean more specifically. We're conservative, but we have a super low voter turnout. It sits at like 32%. And I thought, okay, we've got to do something about this if we're going to help Trump, and also if we're going to take back the state house, right? So I went out, I raised a bunch of money, raised about $1 million in a year, and we used this money to fund our operation. And so I had people stationed in Chaldean churches everywhere, just registering voters. We knocked on over 130,000 doors.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were super active in Macomb, in the Riley Linting seat. And so we saw major success. We helped take back the state house. But then as far as the Chaldean voter turnout was concerned, we took that voter turnout from 32% to 74%.
Oh, wow.
Which was huge. We've never seen Chaldeans come out and vote like that. But what we realized is that your biggest ROI and your best return on investment is voter contact, most specifically door knocking. So that's what we were doing. Through the 501c3 was the education, the 501c4 getting politically charged, to making sure we took what we did in the C3 and used it in the C4 to go out and win elections.
Wow. All right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so is that still going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We'll be active in 26 to help take back the Senate. Obviously now I'm running for SOS.
Sure.
So my primary focus is that, but there's an entire team in place.
Okay.
Yeah. And everything. We're going through the motions now.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So have you personally run for office before?
So the only office I've run for is when I was mad at my county commissioner in 2020. And
that's how a lot of people run.
Yeah, sorry, I ended up running in 22. I had no idea what I was doing. And my county commissioner was actually a Republican, Deb. But I was so mad because I was like, why are you voting with the Democrats? Take the masks off these kids. I was just trying to follow the money trail. They told me it's the health department. Okay, fine. Who controls the health department's budget? The county commissioners. Great. I took 1,500 parents to their doorstep and made public comment. We did all these great things. Then I looked at my commissioner. I said, if you don't start supporting us, we're going to find somebody to run against you. And somehow, Deb, that ended up being me.
Yeah.
That's where I got my start.
All right.
I'll admit to you, I had no idea what I was doing back then, but it's been a curve of learning ever since.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, so what made you decide to run? What made you just wake up and say, all right, SOS, here I come?
Yeah. So it really, what was eye-opening for me, there was two things. It was the All in Democracy Challenge that I mentioned to you, what they were doing. But really also, so the 501c4, we were going out and we ran a really highly sophisticated early vote and absentee operation. So we were pulling data from clerks all across the state, building relationships with these clerks. But I'm going through these voter lists and I'm looking and I'm thinking to myself, wow, like especially in counties like Macomb, which is a really big county, in 24, every single voter had the same voter ID. So Deb, if every single voter has the same voter ID, how do we audit the election? And I'm looking at absentee ballots being returned and I'm looking at these lists and we're missing ballot tracking numbers. We're missing return dates for the ballots and voter history is changing somehow, moving around. Somebody who voted in Commerce after they vote, like me, for example, I lived in West Bloomfield, but it said I had voted in Commerce all my life, which I know that's not true.
Right.
So all these discrepancies, all these irregularities, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm going out there and doing all this work, but then we're getting to the ballot box and we're getting screwed, right? So who's going to fix this for us? So unfortunately, Christina Karamo ran, she was unsuccessful, but I knew that this time around, this Secretary of State seat was so much more important.
Oh, yes.
Besides needing to secure our elections, we have redistricting coming up. That's huge, right? And there's just so many things happening where election laws are being broken. Nobody's being held accountable. So it's a matter of, all right, we need a candidate who has the qualifications to get in there and know what to do. But then we need a candidate that has the backbone to get in there and do what needs to be done. Because I'm sure, as you know, you've been doing this a long time. These candidates start off really well-intentioned and they get into office. And then it's like, where'd you go? What happened?
That's right.
You said you were going to do X, Y, and Z, right? And so through all these years of being involved politically, I've learned the different things that might maybe change their mind when they get in. Well, I was waiting around for a good candidate. I said, I just want to get behind a good candidate, dump all this money into them and help them win, right? Waiting, kind of like you were, right? Just waiting, hearing some names. And I was really, really pumped up about Rochelle Smith. Thought she was the perfect candidate. And I talked to her and then finally she's like, I'm not doing it. It's not for me. It's not the right time. And she kind of said to me what I first said to her. She said, Michigan's worth fighting for. Why don't you pray on it, Monica? And I said, I don't have a clerk background. And she said, that's okay. She said, you've got business experience. You've been doing all this work. You know what the issues are and you know how to fix them. And I said, just so I sat on it and thought about it for months, actually. I had to really think about how this was going to affect my family. I had to make sure we could still be successful at GEI, GEA, because the most important thing is not just the SOS seat, but electing conservatives up and down the ballot.
Yep.
And that's always been my number one goal. But anyways, I prayed on it. I talked to a bunch of people, especially the people knee deep in election integrity stuff. And finally I said, okay, you know what? I'm a solid candidate. I can do this. And so I decided to jump in the race.
Awesome. We're going to go to commercial real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll get to more questions. Hang on.
Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning is a fantastic new blend of herbs and vegetables made in Livingston County. Add a tablespoon to homemade breads, soups, stews, meat, poultry, vegetables, casseroles, sauces, and more. To order, email Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning at gmail.com or message the Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning Facebook page. It's time to divorce your Marry Me Chicken and take advantage of free delivery in and around Livingston County. Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning, the only seasoning you need.
The Exalted Christ Ministry offers resources to help you understand historic Christianity. Visit theexaltedchrist.com for articles, podcasts, and a video series exploring Scripture and key historical topics. Get free resources today at www.theexaltedchrist.com.
Welcome to The Right Side.
And with me now is the brand new 7th District Chair, District 3, Livingston County Commissioner, Frank Sample. So welcome, Frank.
You're very active in the American Legion.
Correct.
You're very active in the VFWs.
This ideology is very damaging to the students who are told if you get this surgery
and make do the social transition, the medical transition, then you'll be happy and all your problems will be
Yes,
solved. Learned so much.
I'll bet. That's some institutional knowledge right there.
It's-
And we have, as a special guest, as I said earlier, we have Kevin Reiki with us. Welcome, Kevin. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Okay, welcome back, and we're here with Monica Yatuma, who is a Secretary of State candidate, and she was just telling us all the great reasons that she is the best candidate. Or I'm sorry, no, we haven't got to that point. She was telling us why she decided to run. That was like 3 questions from now. Now I gave you a hint. We can cheat now. So,
Oh, God.
all right. So she decided to run because she was really, looking for the right candidate, and she's got the experience, and apparently she's got a whole bunch of backbone, which this seat absolutely needs. So the next one, let me ask you this. What special skills do you have that will make you the best candidate here?
So, listen, first and foremost, I bring business leadership to the table, which I think is going to be huge for this role. You're the chief election officer of the entire state, and you're overseeing over, 3,000 employees, right? Between the clerks, the SOS clerks. So business experience is important, but leadership in business is really important too. I think, political advocacy, which I've been involved in through the C3 and the C4, that brings a lot to the table because I know how to bring different factions and personalities to a table and get a deal done and get that deal closed. I think that's really important in this role. But also, I bring outsider experience, kind of like Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because we know the system's broken, right? We can agree on that. So why bring in somebody who's been a part of that system that's been broken and all they know how to do is that, right? We need a fresh perspective. So I think those are some of the reasons that make me the most qualified and the best candidate.
Okay, good. All right. So we also have, when I do my election trainings, I refer to, I always talk about the person with, say, the most experience isn't always necessarily the one that's going to get elected, but 100% of the time, the most electable person is going to be elected. And you get electable, and I call it by the Drick election pie. And the Drick election pie is a pie with a bunch of slices, and the slices are called things like endorsements, money, message, known name, sign locations. It's all those things that take the whole picture of an election. So tell me where you've got a lot of pie. You've got some big old fatty pie pieces. What pie pieces do you have really good pie pieces, and what ones do you need to work on?
So I would say the slice of pie where there's name recognition. So maybe not statewide, but I have huge name recognition in Southeast, right? So Oakland, McComb, Wayne, that's where I've been doing a lot of my work. And I think the pie slice with the money, I think that's there, right? That's what I've been doing. Like I said earlier, I went out in a year, raised $1 million. But within that, I built a very powerful national donor network, so I'm well known, on the national level. As far as experience, I mentioned earlier too, there's that business leadership experience. There's also that advocacy experience to the C3 and the C4. But there's the negotiation skills. I know how to manage multiple budgets at the same time. In my industry at work, compliance it's a top priority, right? So I'm dealing with OSHA and LARA almost every single day. So compliance, law, policy, all those things, it's second nature to me.
Okay.
But also having the leadership experience, I know how to build good teams. I know how to manage strong teams because listen, when you get into the office of SOS, you're not doing everything. A lot of it's being delegated. You have to have the right people in place. This is people you can trust, people that are coachable, trainable, but people who know what they're doing. These are data people. These are engineers. So I think that's going to be really important. And I bring that to the table.
Good. What about pie pieces? What do you think you need to work on? Like, what kind of pie pieces do you need to build?
Listen, we can always be learning and building.
Sure.
I'm certainly not perfect. And what I will say is that right off the bat, I built a clerk advisory committee. So there are different clerks that I talk to daily and weekly. Oh, yeah, because that's where I lack, right? I don't have that clerk experience. I don't think it's necessary to be successful at this role, but I think it's a piece of that pie, right? That makes the whole thing.
Right.
So right off the bat, in the beginning of my campaign, we built this clerk advisory committee, and I talk to these clerks often, and we bounce ideas off each other. I ask them questions, and I say, what do you think about this? Because in my mind, I might be thinking, I want to implement X, Y, and Z, but also I don't want to piss off the clerks, right? They have a hard enough job. They already feel underpaid and stressed out. So how can we secure our elections, make the SOS office better, and keep our clerks happy?
Right. And you don't know. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know if something you have, well, it's a great idea, but the way you want to do it is there's a statute that prohibits that. So you might need to get their input on how to good. Well, that's good that you're open to ideas and to be, coached on an area that,
Always.
yeah, good. So, what is the first thing you see yourself doing, changing, creating, whatever, once you're elected? You can give me 3 things. Give me your first 3 things.
3 things?
Yeah.
Well, the voter rolls.
Right.
Gonna knock that out right away. It's
Okay.
a mess. So for anybody that doesn't already know, we've got 8.4 million registered voters, but somehow only 7.9 million citizens of eligible voting age. So
Wow.
that's a huge problem. I actually think it's worse than that. I just think that's what they're reporting.
I agree.
Yeah. We need to go back to
It's
cross-checking.
it's like there's only 15 unregistered voters,
Well, yeah. Well, they said there was 15 non-citizens that voted in our
Right,
elections.
that's what I
Like,
mean.
Give me a break.
That's
We
what I
know
mean,
it was
yeah.
Let's just take the Chinese national, right?
Right.
We only know because he turned himself in. And
I
then Jocelyn
know.
Benson thinks it's insulting. She's like, "Oh, he's the only one we missed."
Right.
No, sorry.
Yes. How many didn't turn themselves in? That's the real question.
Exactly. But yeah, so the voter rolls, we'll cross-check those with a federal database like the Department of Homeland Security.
Mm-hmm.
Absentee ballots, huge. They're a primary mechanism for fraud. We know there's been issues with those. We know Jocelyn Benson's been sued for issues with absentee ballots. But listen, they need to be sealed, tracked, logged, and verified at every single handoff. The chain of custody needs to be strengthened. But most importantly, we need to be ensuring signature verification on every single ballot.
Right.
Okay. And then number 3, I think that's a little bit of a tough one. Obviously the most important thing is to make sure all election instructions given to election officials are lawful, because we're not seeing that right now. And that's obviously something I'll tackle. But something people don't think about is that I really want to create a poll challenger and a campaign observer Bill of Rights. It's really to establish the necessary rights and protections for poll challengers and campaign observers because of what happened in 2020. We can't have that happen again. We have to protect their rights so that we can ensure transparency in every single election. Because the most important thing that I need to do when I get in there is make sure we're following the law and being transparent every step of the way.
Mm-hmm. Terrific. And I'll tell you something, back in the days when I worked in the legislature, part of what you do is you go, you don't have election days to yourself anymore. If you work in the legislature, you are going to go watch a poll somewhere. And I had the worst people that I worked with. It was a Livonia or Redford or something. And they were obstinate. They wouldn't let me sit down. There were chairs. One lady got up and she said, "Stand up, please." And I did. She took my chair away.
Wow.
It was that bad. Now, the people I were working with were fine, but the managers, "Are you a Republican?" And I said, "Yes." All of a sudden, my chair got taken away. I was just treated terribly.
Wow.
And I had to end up calling. At the time, it was, I want to say it was Beth Clement back in those days when she worked for the Senate. And she had to send somebody down to fight with the people about what I was allowed to do and what I wasn't allowed to do. Anyway, I ended up getting, it was my shift was over and somebody else did it, but it was awful. And so having something like that would be very, very, very helpful, especially if it was enforced with the clerks, because that's not right.
Yeah.
If they weren't doing anything, they shouldn't have been worried about what I was seeing.
Right.
That's my thought.
Well, and she was sued for that too.
Yeah. And this was embarrassing, but this was like back in 2011, maybe. It was like during the year Snyder got elected, so it was a long time ago.
A while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago, so a minute ago. So let me ask you this. Now, I know that having again back working the legislatures through really 3 different governors, I learned one thing, that you can be the best department head in the planet, and you could be very good, and you could have great ideas, but if you don't understand how to negotiate with the legislature, if you don't understand how to do that, you're not going anywhere. So tell me what your plans are and like how you intend to first of all, do you understand? Do you have any kind of experience in negotiating with the legislature or from a department standpoint, or do you have people that, what are your plans for that?
There are state representatives and senators that I've worked with on bills, education bills and language and all that stuff. And there's many times where there's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of give and take, a lot of negotiation. And that's just what it takes to get anything done, to get a bill even into committee and then out in front of them to even vote on it. So
Sure.
yeah, do I have experience there? Absolutely. I think working with the legislature is going to be job one, because right now she's not doing that.
Right.
They're constantly having to subpoena her. She's not being transparent. She's hiding training election material. And so it's a complete mess. So I think it's going to be really refreshing to get a Secretary of State like myself in there that goes to the state legislature and says, okay, what do you need and how can we work together? Because at the end of the day, we serve our people and we need to make sure these elections are secure and they're transparent and that they're done with integrity. how do we do that for our constituents?
Right. And that's negotiating in there with, it's with 110 reps and, a great deal of, how many are there? I don't remember, 39 senators, is it? Yes. No, 38.
19 and 18. So yeah, 37. Oh, well, we're short one until they fill the seat. So 38, right. You're right.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so there's that many senators. So, I mean, you got to convince more than, one or two to run your bill. You got to, so you'll have a department and you'll have a liaison and all that stuff, which will help. But I just wondered because I hear over the years, I've heard many people say, with great ideas, and they really do, but they don't understand the importance of that. So I'm glad you do.
Oh, of course.
It's important. So let's just say, just for conversation's sake, all the candidates we're at the convention, and all three candidates, all 3 or 4, whatever there ends up being, candidates have equal support, 100% equal support. You need to have 51% to win. So what about you will push, just knock it over that extra couple percentages to get you that 51?
I think just the sheer fact that out of the 3 of us, I'm the fighter, right? I have a proven track record of success. I've gone out, right? I own my own business, but I jumped into the political world because I care. I care about community. I care about our future generation. And so I'm passionate and I'm a fighter. And so I have a track record of that. So when I say to you, I'm going to go into the Secretary of State's office, I'm going to fix these elections and I'm going to clean this up and do that. And we're going to change this and fix that. That means I'm going to do it. You have my word. So promises made, promises kept. And I think that will distinguish me.
Well, good. Okay. Well, anything else you want to, this is probably the fastest. You talk fast like I do, so we got whoosh right through this.
But that's okay. People like the shorter podcasts.
They do at times, yeah. So is there anything else that you want to kind of just leave us with, or boy, okay,
sorry.
That's all right. Anything else you want to leave us with before we close off or go to commercial or whatever we're going to do?
Yeah, I would just say this. I think probably the most important thing is people have been hearing my name, and I think there are good things associated with my name, but however, they're wondering, who is she? What has she done? And so I'm super accessible. I just urge you guys, call me. Happy to go talk to anybody, to meet with anybody. Visit the website. It's monicaformichigan.com. I have a very strong presence on social media. It's Monica Yatuma Official. So it kind of helps to show you where I stand, how I feel on things, and what I'm looking to do to secure our elections.
Okay, now where is it? Right here. Is that your Monica for Michigan? Is it spelled all the way Michigan?
Yeah, it's spelled all the way, yep.
Okay, Michigan. Yeah. There's the website for further information. So let me ask you this. Livingston County, what do you know about Livingston County?
I know that you guys are very red.
Oh boy, yes. You're
very red, and you guys have a lot of inspiring elected officials.
We do.
Yeah.
We have great everything here. So as far as our elected officials I would hold anybody. I'd hold ours up to any great ones. This is a very well run county, that's for sure. And most of the townships are they're kind of new and they're feeling their way. We got a couple of bumps in the road, but overall, they do a good job. So that's terrific. I know we have a big chunk of delegates here. We have a lot of delegates out of Livingston County, and we got an 80%. We reached 80% in the turnout last year, so in the vote. So we carry buckets that kind of put out some of the fire in our surrounding counties. So the blue buckets.
So am I allowed to ask you a question?
You are, as many as you want. Go ahead.
Okay.
This is different.
Yeah, well, I'm just curious, right? So you're the leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your delegates, everybody that I talk to has a differing opinion about what's important to them with the Secretary of State's office. What would you say the majority of your delegates are looking for? What's important to them in the next candidate?
That's a good question. Voter rolls, that's a no-brainer. Everybody wants that. I think.
Are they looking at, what I'm wondering is, we need a strong candidate that can win a general election.
Sure.
And I think I can
do that. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's for me personally. It's everything for me.
Yeah. So is that important? So it's huge to you. Is that important to a lot of your delegates?
Yes, I think it is. I don't know that. I spend a little time every meeting. I have my executive committee meeting that lasts about 15 minutes. And then from that point, we close that meeting and then just do stuff, legislative updates. Anybody have questions you want to talk? But I always kick that part of the meeting off with what I call I don't remember what I call it now, chair's perspective, that's what it is. And then I basically kind of say, this is how a bill gets done, or this is what a lobbyist is, and I invite a lobbyist, or it's more of an educational piece. And one of the things I try to explain is, matter of fact, I'm going to show it to you.
Oh, great.
So, I talk about how important it is. This one is called Stay Thee Not Home, Rather Hold Thy Nose and Vote. And that is just for those people who don't like the Republican candidate, they won't vote. That's a big problem, and here's why. So this is kind of the how-tos, and this is what it looks like now. So this is what Livingston County voter demographics look like. We got a big old, and I was kind because I think that red mark's a little bit farther, but it's a lot of Republicans versus Democrats. And this is your swing voter districts, right?
Okay.
And so this is what people think Michigan demographics are, because we're, purple, right? Some red, some blue. That's what it really is. We got this huge swing voter, independent swing voters in here that go back. They pick the candidate, and that there's some left and some right. That's about equal there. But this is the base that's going to make a decision. And this base, and I use this specific, this base right here is why Christina Caramo and Matt DePerno lost, because this group right here, this group and this group cannot win alone. You must take the majority of this. And these people will go toward, they don't like extremes. They don't like extreme left. They don't like extreme right. And they'll go to the least of the extreme. And while Jocelyn Benson could be argued that she's an extreme left, she's not as extreme right as maybe a candidate that's talking about yoga being the work of a devil. So, for example, so this is what we need here. Now, in this particular case, we're going to be running, whoever we run is going to run against Barb Byram. Okay. Yep. I mean, unless somebody else comes up that has stronger candidate, but I cannot imagine Barb Byram not being the Democratic, the left side of the thing. So whoever it is has got to be able to beat her. So this here is what people need to focus on in order to we've got to be able to, so whoever, if that's Barb right there and that's you, or whoever that is, if that's you, you need to be able to bring the independence your way. So when you say what's important to us, in my view, and this is what I try to really pound home, what will you do that will make sure that it is that you're getting your message across without sounding way right, because if you go way right over here, you're going to lose these people. And if Barb goes way left, I don't know what she'll do, but so that is,
she is pretty left. I anticipate that
she is. I don't know if she's going to campaign that way or not.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to see. A couple of things on that. I know a lot of people think Michigan is red. Truly, I believe, Michigan is purple. I believe that Michigan is red. I just think that our elections are so screwed up that we're coming off purple. But I think once we get in there and fix everything and secure the elections, I actually think Michigan will be a red state.
I think the purple came from, not recently, obviously, but because the last couple elections have been, not 2020, but 2022 and 20 was very suspect. So, but before that, we had Republican governor, Democrat governor, Republican governor, Democrat, all the way back. And same with the Secretary of State, and same with the Attorney General. It goes back and forth. So that's where the purple comes from. Yeah. And so I think right now, the Democrats are unorganized with a terrible rhetoric, terrible plans. I have been involved in elections in many years, and I have never, ever seen them so unorganized and so freaking crazed.
Well, they're fighting for illegals more than they're fighting for us.
I know.
It's kind of insane.
And fighting is a calm word. I mean, they're like attacking in this crazed, like rabid manner.
Yeah.
So that's where that independent thing came from. But let's just say you're correct. And
the other thing too, Deb, is I'll tell you something. If we can just turn out our base, our Republican voters, we can beat them in an election like this.
Probably.
Absolutely. I've looked at the numbers. It's why we go out and door knock. We're just talking to our base and we're getting them out to vote. Just take the Chaldean community, like what I did there, right? That made all the difference in Macomb.
Right.
They're already conservative. That's why I say it's your best ROI, because you're just trying to change the mind of a person on the left or potentially an independent is going to cost you more and it's going to take more time. If we just turn out our base, we win.
Right. So if we are more red than blue, that's a great thing. The problem is let's just say that there's a chance that that's what it is instead of the
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
this one. It's really this one. Turning out our base will mean we get this there, and then maybe a little bit more.
Half
So
of that, right?
we need it. No, we need. I would
more than half.
argue 51%, but minimum. So what is your plan to pull over some of those? That's the question. To pull as many independents as you can.
The most important thing is to just focus on what's important, right? More than 80% of voters agree that when you vote, you need to show an ID and you need to be a citizen.
Okay.
So you got to nail the messaging on that. Everybody agrees on that. It's a nonpartisan issue. And so the messaging just has to be, I don't want to say neutral, because we're conservative. We want it to be more conservative. But I think if we focus on fixing the elections, following, hey, you need ID to vote, I think that's going to resonate with everybody. You need to be a citizen to vote. That's going to resonate with everybody. But also talk about the things that affect everyday Americans' lives, right? There's election integrity, but there's also an entire Secretary of State's office. Business people, mechanic shop owners, car dealership owners, hunters, all these people that have to deal with the SOS office right now are frustrated. So if we can put out a message that says, hey, we can streamline these processes and make them easier for you. It doesn't have to be frustrating. And hey, car dealership owners, mechanic shop owners, we're going to cut red tape for you so that you can do business easily and as usual every day, so that you can contribute to growing to the Michigan economy. It's this type of messaging, because who would be against that? Why wouldn't we want to grow the economy?
Right. You would think, but you would think. So, being conservative, all these people are going to vote for you. Being conservative, none of these people are going to vote for you.
Sure.
So this right here, in my view, and if I'm wrong, then you're still going to get everybody here. But I'm just really cautious and looking for candidates that understand that this is a bigger base than they think. And like I said, if I'm wrong, you win anyway. So, if I'm
But it's
right,
okay to assume that. It doesn't hurt to
No,
assume that.
that's the safe bet right there. You're erring on the side of caution.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get the R's anyway, right? We're talking about the general. But your question was, what are our delegates looking at? We're looking at somebody who understands that enough that they can win that general. And they're not going to, like I said, we got bitten last time there was a primary, and I don't ever want that, pounding of the far right. I get the far right position. I get that 100%, but I don't.
We have to go out and win the general. Plain and simple. We can get through the primary and get our candidate, which hopefully is me. But we get to the general, we have no plan. It's a problem, right? So right now, personally, I don't know what the other candidates are doing. I'm already having conversations to make sure that there's a financial backing there for the general election, but that there's a huge get out the vote operation during the general election, like what we ran in 24, because not just to get me elected, but to get conservatives elected up and down the ballot. So I'm already having conversations with national organizations, local people, national people, because this is a huge undertaking. And honestly, the candidate that comes out of this race successfully needs to fully understand that and have a plan in place. It's not win the primary March 28th and then, all right, let's figure out what to do. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to win, and then I'm ready to go the next day so we can win the general election.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, that sounds great. Is there any other questions you have or anything else you want to talk about? That was a very good question about the delegates.
Yeah, it's important. No, and I think you asked some great questions. I hope I was able to.
Oh, you answered them all.
Okay, good.
You got them all. So I think
I
we
had
got
a great time. This was fun.
Well, good. Well, then we welcome you back anytime.
Thanks, Deb.
So, all right. Well, we're going to be back. I'm a little concerned because we haven't got these questions coming up, and usually by now I'm bombarded. So I'm a little concerned. I know there's a Right to Life dinner, so many of our regulars will be watching this in the morning, which is just fine. But just so you know, I'm going to reboot and reopen up because the next part absolutely needs that questions, because we're going to be talking about that data center. So I really want to hear your questions and your comments on that. So stay tuned. I'm going to reboot. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to end it. Then I'm going to restart it. So go back to your wherever you signed in and signed in again. Okay. All right. Thanks.